The Mermaids, Roxanne Gravino and Peregrino Cherry.
Fairy tale is a story involving fantastic forces and beings such as fairies, wizards, mermaids, and etc. Good day everyone. Today we're going to discuss the plot overview, the moral, and the significance of the study entitled The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen, a Danish author, although a prolific writer of plays, travelogues, novels, and poems. He is best remembered for his literary fairy tales. At the bottom of the sea live the mermen and mermaids. 6 sisters live there, all of them princesses, the youngest of whom is quieter and more thoughtful than her older siblings. Each of the mermaids has their own little garden under the sea, but whereas the others decorate there with all sorts of things they have salvaged from shipwrecks that have drifted to the bottom of the sea, the little mermaid has just some roses and the statue of a beautiful boy. They are all intrigued by the world beyond the sea, but this youngest sister, the little mermaid of the story's title, is more interested in the world above the sea than her other sisters. The sisters are looked after by their grandmother, who tells them that when a mermaid reaches the age of 15, she can rise to the surface of the water and explore the world above the surface. In turn, each of the sisters reach that age and goes up to the surface, returning below the sea to tell her sisters what she has seen. When it's finally the turn of the little mermaid, she notices a ship which contains royalty. The people on the board are celebrating the birthday of a handsome prince. The little mermaid is instantly attracted to him. There is a storm, and the ship sinks. The little mermaid is initially delighted when she sees the prince sinking beneath the water, as it means he can join her. But then she remembers that humans cannot survive under water. So she rescues him and takes him to shore at a temple, where some novice girls appear, and one of them restores the prince to consciousness. The mermaid sinks back under the water, with the prince entirely unaware of her existence or that she has saved her life. The little mermaid asks her grandmother about humans. She learns that humans don't have life as long as mermen, who can live for up to 300 years, but that they do have immortal souls which float up to heaven when they die, unlike the mermen who don't have souls. The little mermaid says she would trade 300 years of life as mermaid for one day as a human, if it means she would have a soul and live forever. The grandmother tells her not to think about such things because the only way a mermaid could gain a soul is if a human loved her so much that his soul would merge with her and she would gain one. But the little mermaid realizes that she is so in love with the handsome prince that she could give anything to be with him and gain an immortal soul. So she goes to visit the one woman who might help her, the sea witch. The sea witch says she will make the little mermaid a potion which the mermaid must take onto land with her and drink. It will turn her fishtail into 2 human legs, and she will not be able to transform back into a mermaid again. It will also hurt her every time she walks. If the handsome prince will not marry her, she will not gain an immortal soul, and she will die and become foam upon the water the day the prince marries another. The little mermaid is so desperate to marry the prince and gain a soul that she readily agrees, despite this gamble. She also agrees to the witch demands for a payment, which is to possess the mermaid's beautiful singing voice. This means the little mermaid will be able to become a woman, but a mute one, unable to sing or speak. She floats up to the surface and drinks the potion and falls unconscious. When she wakes, the handsome prince is standing over her, asking her where she came from, but because the sea witch has taken her tongue, she cannot answer. He takes her into the palace and finds her the finest clothes to wear, and her beauty is much admired by everyone at the court. She grows closer to the prince, but at night she often sees her sisters who float up to the surface and tell her how she saddened them when she left them behind. The little mermaid learns that the prince is fond of her, but has fallen in love with a pretty girl at the temple who brought him back to unconsciousness on the night of the shipwreck. Unaware that the little mermaid was the one who dragged him to shore, he thinks that the novice girl at the temple saved his life. Being mute, the mermaid cannot tell him that she was the one who saved him. The prince is told to undertake a voyage to a neighboring kingdom because his parents wished him to marry the princess in that kingdom to forge an alliance. The little mermaid undertakes the journey with him, and when the princess appears, it turns out to be the fairy girl who had found the unconscious prince on the temple steps. The night the little mermaid had saved his life, believing the princess to be the one who had saved him, the prince declared his love for her and they travel home to his kingdom to be married. The little mermaid realizes that having failed to gain a human's love, she will die the next morning without having gained a soul. Heartbroken, the little mermaid is traveling back on the princess' ship when her sister appear above the water, their hair cut off. They know their sister's fate and tell her that they had sacrificed their hair to the sea witch in exchange for a magical dagger, which they hand to their sister. The little mermaid must plunge it into the heart of the prince so that his blood will touch the little mermaid's feet and merge them together to form a fishtail. Then she can dive back under the water and be with her sisters and her grandmother, who is at her wit's end. But when the mermaid sees the prince and his bride sleeping together in his tent on the ship, she cannot go through with it and hurls the dagger into the sea before diving overboard and dispersing into foam on the surface of the water. Her spirit floats up into the air, and she is informed by other mermaid spirits or daughters of the air that whilst they cannot gain a soul, they have a chance to do so if they provide a useful service to the world by bringing cooling breezes to the hot winds in the warmer parts of the globe. At the end of the 3 centuries of service, they can create their own everlasting soul, and they can shorten the period of time it takes to earn one. Each house they travel into the breeze if they find a good child who is credited to its parents. 1 year is taken off their 300, but if they travel into the house where a bad child is bringing shame to its parent, a year is added onto their time into this limb. And that is how the story of the Little Mermaid ends.
The lesson that you can take away from this story is that love is unconditional. Even a mermaid who everything fell for a prince from completely different world, and she gave up everything to be with him, including her voice. Love is something so pure and transparent. Another thing in the end is that she could have killed the prince and returned to the sea, but she rather chose to be dissolved into foam since she saw the prince happy with another girl. This teaches that love means to sacrifice, to give up everything for the sake of happiness of other person. The significance of The Little Mermaid as written by Andersen is that this story teaches us to value ourselves in making decisions. The Little Mermaid saves a human prince, falls in love with him, and undergoes a humorous change and considerable pain to be with him and fails. Not because the prince is a bad guy, but because he actually never loved her. I never thought the story was meant to picture men in negative light. It was to show us that changing yourself for people and abandoning your talent will never get you what you want. Mermaids are better than human. They live longer and better looking, more compassionate, and have access to magic. Little Mermaid chose to bend over backwards to please someone way below herself. It's not the prince's fault that he doesn't love her back. He doesn't understand the value of such being, and the mermaid is sort of condemned into being a purgatory because the same morality that judges her harshly doesn't value her personality. So, this story teaches us to appreciate yourself as you are and don't try too hard to please others.